Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. I want to talk with you this morning from the topic, don't go there. Don't you go there. When I was growing up in rural Rowan County, my mom was always concerned about my safety. One of her warnings to me was not to go certain places where I might be able to get into some trouble. One of those places was the pool hall on Rose Hill, where people went to play pool, where they went to dance, to party, and to drink bootleg liquor. I can still hear my mama telling me not to go to that place. I can still hear her saying to me, don't you go there. That wasn't the only place that she didn't want me to go. I can still hear her saying, don't you go to this place, and don't you go to that place. Don't you go here, and don't you go there. There were quite a few places that she didn't want me to go to, and she'd make it plain to me by saying, don't go there. We still use that expression, don't go there. Now we use it when we're talking to someone and they bring up some area of discussion that we don't want to deal with. We simply say to them, don't go there. By saying that, we're saying that we don't want to discuss that topic. When you're talking to someone, you hope that she will have enough sense to understand that certain areas of discussion are just off limits. But sometimes when that person doesn't understand where the boundaries are, you just have to come right out and tell him, don't go there. When you say to someone, don't go there, you're not telling them to avoid some specific location. You're not telling her not to go to some particular destination. You're not telling them not to go to some site, some spot, some locality, some scene. You are simply saying that you refuse to discuss the topic that they're trying to bring up. And you know, it's all right to tell your friend, don't go there. Because you have to set boundaries in your life that you will not allow others to cross. People will be all up in your business if you don't draw a line somewhere. You've got to establish with everyone that you deal with areas that are within limits and areas that are off limits for discussion. And you know, this even applies in families. Sometimes parents have to tell their children, don't you go there. I'm not going to discuss that with you because I'm the parent and you're the child and I make the decision on this issue. When you get that phone call from a so-called friend who's calling your neighbor everything except a child of God, you need to tell him, I don't participate in gossip like that, so don't go there. When someone on the job comes up to you with a joke that doesn't uphold the Christian standard, all you have to do is tell him, that's not funny to me, so don't you go there. When your friend is probing and prying and trying to get into your personal business, just look her in the eye and tell her, don't you go there. The Lord has blessed us with a consciousness and with a mind. We're not like the animals who live only by instinct. We have a consciousness and a mind. We can think and comprehend ideas. We can understand concepts. We can think thoughts and even delve into the area of the abstract. We can read books and go places in our minds where we've never been in our bodies. We can remember what happened in the past. We are aware of what's happening in the present, and we can ponder what will happen in the future. Because we're such complex beings, we are blessed with the ability to look at the possibilities. Because we have a consciousness and a mind, we're blessed with the capacity to choose from the options that are presented to us. Because we can think thoughts and even delve into the area of the abstract. We're blessed with the power to decide where we will focus our mind, where we will concentrate our thoughts, and even what we will think about. You can choose to think good thoughts, or you can choose to think bad thoughts. You can choose to concentrate on the abstract, or you can choose to contemplate the practical and the concrete. You can opt to debate with yourself the merits of doing one thing as opposed to doing something else. And you can even focus your mind on the past or the present or the future. You know, even when it comes to you, yourself, as you think to yourself, as you debate with yourself about what you will and will not do, and even what you will think about and what you will not think about, there ought to be something inside you that will keep you from going certain places in your thought life and even in your intentions. There ought to be something inside you that will tell you when your mind starts to wander in the wrong direction, and even when your intentions start to incline in the wrong areas. There ought to be something inside you that will tell you, don't you go there. We have to continually watch our minds. We have to constantly examine our hearts to keep ourselves from crossing certain boundaries and delving into unacceptable territories in our hearts and in our minds and in our actions. When we become aware that we're leading ourselves down the wrong path, when we discern that we're conjuring up the wrong intentions, when we become sensitive to the fact that we're leading ourselves in the wrong direction, we need to tell ourselves, don't go there. When it comes to what we will put our focus and emphasis on in life, Jesus gives us some good advice this morning. He tells us where to focus and where to not focus our minds. He says, don't worry about tomorrow. So he's saying that our primary focus should not be on the future. He goes on to say, why? Because tomorrow will worry about itself. And then he goes on to say that each day has enough trouble of its own, with the implication that there are issues that you need to deal with today that are important for you to deal with today. In other words, live in the present, not in the future. Take one day at a time. Deal with today's issues today. Don't put them off until tomorrow, because tomorrow will have its own set of issues. Our passage is about worrying about the future. And you know, we'll get to that, but I also want to talk to you about living in the past. Because both of these keep us from living in the present. Most people don't live in the present. They live in the past, or they live in the future. What I mean by this is that their focus and their concentration is not on the here and now. It is it's either on what used to be, or it's on what they hope will come. Instead of taking the time to deal with their present situation, they long for the past, or they hope for the future. All they can think about is how things used to be, or all they can think about is how things are going to be. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that if you don't forget where you are right now. Don't be so concerned about what used to be that you don't deal with the things that you need to deal with right now. And Don't be so concerned about what you think is going to be that you overlook the things that you need to deal with today.